Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, October 19th at 4 p.m. Central or 5 p.m. Eastern. You know, I was sitting down, I was getting ready for this call, and well, first off, I want to apologize. I'm in my basement at home right now trying to set up a new office space down here, and I'm just realizing as I'm talking and going through with this, I've got quite a bit of an echo, so I don't know what you guys hear on the other side of it, but I will definitely have to add some sort of sound absorbent in on the walls. Anyway, we got a few different things to talk about this week, and you know, as I was starting to say, I was sitting down getting ready for this call, and I just put a post up on Facebook. I haven't been traditionally a sports fan my life. More so when I hit 20 years old, I begun to watch hockey, and then over the last 10 years since I've moved to Chicago, well, that's changed. This is definitely a sports city, and it's been a real joy to live in this city. I've spent 10 years, or close to 10 years in Toronto, and now 10 years in Chicago, and we didn't win a single title for any sport in Toronto, not even coming close. It didn't matter whether it was, you know, basketball or baseball or hockey. In fact, I don't think Canada has won a Stanley Cup since the 90s. And, you know, there's been 3 in Chicago. There's been a World Series in '05. You know, the Bears at one point in time were okay. But watching the Chicago Cubs is really, really neat. And I'm definitely not a baseball fan. And, you know, there's some merits that we can take from this team. And it's a consistent thing. It doesn't matter if you're watching the national news or you're reading posts about fans, other fans, even fans of the team that we just beat. Or local news or local individuals, that this bandwagon is different and this team is different. And there's a few things that are consistent about this team that we're hearing. And I was doing some thinking about that in relation to business and what we do and some of the successes of some LMS students and successful businesses that are out there. There's definitely a business behind this organization, and it was about 6-7 years ago that basically the entire organization was flushed out from the highest level management to the coaches through a variety of players, majority of players, and you know, a few veterans were kept. One challenge of working at home, I've got 3 animals that hang out with me wherever I am in the house. So I wasn't sure if I was going to have to put my dog away. But this team is a young bunch of players. And oh boy, am I ever sorry for that. That was embarrassing and unprofessional, and I apologize. But this young team is a young set of players that have come together. They've picked and chosen each individual, but the general consensus of this is, 1, they're having fun. 2, they really want to win. 3, they've chosen to all like each other and support one another. Now, I think that those 3 things are critical to any team to be successful. I am a coach of a youth hockey team. It's at a low level. We're not talking anything high level. But those elements of trying to run a team is a lot like being a CEO. where I'm having to coordinate different groups, I'm having to coordinate different lines, I'm having to coordinate parents, and I'm having to have to work with equivalent to vendors and securing ice and running a calendar. And so I believe that there's a lot to be learned from sports. The more I learn about sports, the more that we can we can apply to different elements of business, and identifying it seems to be a little more obvious in sports than it is in business, because we evaluate business solely off of the bottom line, profitability. And well, that's the number one caveat. I don't do that. I know I can personally make a lot more money than I do from year to year, but I choose my lifestyle. Uh, I choose my freedoms to be able to travel. And, I take off 6 weeks, almost sometimes 8 weeks a year without even thinking about it. And that doesn't include leaving the office at noon and whatnot. So my point is we get to pick and choose what level we want to operate at. But when we're operating at that level, we want to operate at our best. It's a lot like different divisions within sports, that you could be a professional sports player and not hit the top level and live a comfortable lifestyle. I don't know many of the other sports, but I know in the hockey world, the AHL, one level below the NHL, you can make $500,000. But the average player is making low six figures. Well, that's beautiful. There's another level below that as well that you can make. And there's a whole variety of these leagues all over the United States and predominantly the world, Europe and Canada. There's to get into these leagues are infinitely better, and the average player can get into these leagues if they follow certain fundamentals. They don't have to be the best players in the world. And that, to me, in the business world is a lot like the 4%ers. And that's where I operate in. And I'm happy and content to operate in that world. Every business I've started, I want to operate as a minimum within that world. I moved away from a delivery company. Now I'm going to have to move her upstairs. I moved away from a delivery company when that company was on its way to getting to the 1%. It was too much. It was too many people to manage, too much responsibility, too much time to be able to put into it, too much travel. That meant less time with my son that was growing up. And even with the amount of time that I've spent with my son, I'm thankful that I did all that, but it still wasn't enough. I truly wish I could be with him all the time growing up, and it still probably wouldn't be enough. But that's life. So I started this conversation out because of some thoughts about the Chicago Cubs. And the chances of them winning the World Series this year, they're the longest running team in history that has never won a title. It's well over 100 years. You can't not like this team, and what they're doing, if just we remember, is having fun. And talking about having fun, you could take success of a guy like Josh Nelson at Local Marketing Source, where he started with his education, and his organization now has 28 people. It's a very, very fun environment, and they do a lot of different things. If you follow their Facebook page, they've really come together as a team, and they really like each other. When they go after work, there's groups that go and hang out. They're all friends, and they support one another. So sometimes we forget about these things, the fundamental basics of what makes a team successful, whether it's a youth hockey team or at the highest level a professional team or a ma and pop business or a corporation. These fundamentals are the same, and they come back to humanity, basics of humanity, and having good morals and values. And sharing these morals and values in a way is kind of like, well, that's what culture is. It's creating a culture. In a way, it's kind of not religious, but within that environment, that you've got polarization of values. And I bring up religion because it really doesn't matter what religion you're a part of, or any religion for that matter. The fundamentals of humanity are the same in all of them. And it really just comes down to being a good person and being empathetic to others, putting others first. So we don't talk about these things enough in business, I don't think. And I think that businesses, whether it's internet marketing or sawmill chopping wood, that these fundamentals are all the same. And when we focus on those first, good things happen. So today, now that I've spent 10 minutes of your time being philosophical, I definitely don't preach to be a philosophical individual. I just got some experience and education behind me, and successes, of course. So let's get a little bit to why you're really here today, and to talk about what has happened in the last week in the local marketing environment. And Google is really doing some testing in regards to the local profiles that are showing up. I'm just going to say social at this point. And, you know, they've attacked social in every plausible angle. Google, I've got a couple of things to talk about. These are things that, of course, I've been talking about for years, and our industry, certain individuals in our industry have been talking about for years. I surely don't predicate coining these terms and this philosophical viewpoint of SEO, but Google is just confirming a lot of what we're talking about in regards to links and where the links are on the page. I'll get into that, as well as, the algorithmic updates in regards to Penguin and its relation to links. And I think what I'm going to do is end all this off on saying, forget about SEO. And if you want to be number one on Google, try actually being local, and what I mean by that. So let's get into some content here. Google is doing a lot of different tests, rolled it out. It's now fairly widespread in regards to the knowledge panel that shows up. That's the business profiles that show up on a Google SERP, a search engine results page. And you typically will see big buttons on a mobile device that say call, directions, or website. And now, smack dab in the middle, they've added a sharing function that you can share to Facebook, Twitter, a message, but not text messaging. Not yet, or maybe not ever. We don't know why or why not. So that's positive. What does that mean for local SEO? One thing I talk a lot about is engagement, is user engagement. And that's going to be another metric for the search engines to measure in terms of user engagement. It's not really one that we're going to be able to influence either, because everybody's knowledge panel, everybody's profile looks the same essentially. Now, what we don't know yet is what triggers the search, because some results don't have it and others do. But we can make assumptions at this point, or case studies, as to what it is. And if your online profiles, your online site and content has got the propensity to be shared, it's likely that Google will support that effort and allow sharing functionality. Therefore, have share plugins on your blog and your content. All right, so confirmations of Google, of different aspects of the algorithm. And if we really try to, I've always said that if we really want to learn the business of search engine optimization, we've got to be looking forward to where we think the algorithm is going to be. And then we do those things along with what we know as it is right now. Well, Google has confirmed that that they group their links on a particular page, or they label the links into groups. So if there's going to be links on, within the body, or where they are in the body, how close they are to H tags, are they in the footer? And so we've always known that a link is not a link, but the point here is that if you're a local business and you write a blog post and get it on a local blog, and you as the author has got a link back to you, that will look good being on that site. But if you are on a site with other local businesses that say as a resource directory, for example, that value is not going to be quite as good. Now, going back to the piece that you write as an author, that's good. But when somebody's reading that piece and they want to learn more about that piece, if you had links in there that went back to your website that made reference to it, those links would have more value than the author link. And not because of anchor text, because of where they're particularly placed on a site. Now, that's a good blog post that is not that long and has references for the reader to learn more. The search engines know this. And if it's going to a page that just happens to have share functionality on it and has been shared, then it will increase the value of that link. It's just good marketing, isn't it? There's really not many ways now to dupe the search engines. So with that, at the same time, Gary Illes of Google, he confirmed that Google Penguin is mostly about looking at link sources. And remember, it's quality of content. And so we have to assume then that if they are looking at sources, that they are still assigning a value to a source. Remember PageRank? That's almost what they're saying, isn't it? They're almost saying that PageRank has not gone away, and we've known that. But when we look at all the factors that are involved and trying to weigh out the particular factors, PageRank is determined by how valuable that page is to its intended audience. It's that simple. That's what marketing is. It's how valuable content is. I mean, can you get that content in front of your target audience? So you see where I'm going with this conversation. When I say that, forget about content, forget about unique content, and try actually being local. What does that really mean? And that means actually getting out in the community, building relationships with those at the Chamber of Commerce so you can get your content published, knowing who the editor is of the newspaper. You want 1 or 2 pieces in there a year. In order to do this, it reminds me when I started Local Marketing Source, I built my first program and I was like, oh, this is so great. I've got dozens of hours of recording. It's proven. I've tested it. I've got a product. I've got a platform. I've got an e-commerce ability. I've even got an affiliate section of it. I'm going to get a bunch of affiliates to promote this. I'll give them 50% and it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to go out and find a bunch of joint venture guys. I'll just email a bunch of guys and they just have to send out an email and they'll get 50% of my product as commission. It's going to be great. It didn't work out that way. If there's one thing I learned about selling information online at Local Marketing Source, is it has nothing to do with your product. Success online has zero to do with your product. The big boys and the launches. I'm not talking sustainability. Local Marketing Source has been around for 7 years. Well, that's That's not because we knew people. That's because we delivered a good product. As a matter of fact, we've never had others promote our product. We've built our product, our company, completely organically. But what I did learn was a few emails, a few phone calls, even a couple of drinks is not going to get a big marketer to promote my product. The only way that I was going to get somebody else to promote my product was depending on how big my list was, or whether or not we were long-term buddies. That's what it comes down to. And once you're in the club, you're in the club. But to get in it was a lot. And after I learned a lot of these individuals, I chose not to. I said, no, I don't want to play this game of having to go to 10 conferences a year and not be myself. And you can tell that these people aren't themselves. It's incredible. But getting back to the local world, a local business will have a hard time being local if relationships aren't built. And I feel like success in business has got to be focused on real relationships. No matter what business you're in, I believe you've got to develop face-to-face relationships to make it work. Not with everyone and not with your clients, but somehow, some way, whether it's internally with an organization that grows, or vendors or suppliers or contractors or clients. But when we teach SEO and we say, okay, create a piece and get it into the local newspaper, just emailing it to editor@newspapername.com is not going to get you in there. A lot of times phone calls aren't going to get you in there. Sometimes it's going to cost you $50 for a lunch. But once you've built that relationship, you don't just use those resources once. If you nurture the relationship, they could be there for years to come. So you want to win at local SEO, try actually being local and getting your clients out there in the community in different ways. We've gotten a lot of business for different chambers of commerce and different networking organizations and charitable events. That's a big one. To me, that's the big myth of SEO. And if we just look at a pattern of search engine updates and what we know about the updates, and if we plotted it out over a timeline, maybe we should do that as a graphic. I can see it in my head right now, that it's clear where the search engines want to be. And they want good businesses that have good marketing, and good marketing is about reaching out to your audience, providing the information to the audience, the right audience, and the right information, the right times. Sharing is just a byproduct of all that. It's obviously good if it's being shared. Well, not good doesn't mean quality. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this call. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be around for 30 seconds. You can lift up your hand or type it in the question box. And I'll be right back.
Thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week. So if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.